Hello, good morning, good day. Okay, whatever time you're viewing this. My name is Oyedemi Temitope Elizabeth. I'm a master's student of the Department of Communication and Language Arts, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. And I'm here to present my paper titled Public Health Communication Campaign as a tool for development communicators in totally combating the female genital mutilation in Nigeria. So the female genital mutilation and circumcision is a tradition that is deeply embedded in culture. So it's interesting to know that it's not necessarily a religious practice. However, it's a cultural practice that people believe helps children to be, or the girl child to be well absorbed into the societal standards and norms. They believe that it ensures chastity among young women, especially before marriage. And so it's internationally recognized as a violation of the human rights of the girl child and of women. And it affects millions of young girls and women every year. According to WHO, it has been established that we have FGM, female genital mutilation, in about 29 nations worldwide. Okay, so WHO 2010 classified FGM into 4 major parts: the clitoridectomy, excision, infibulation, and the fourth one, which infuse other types of circumcision, the piercing, and etc., etc. So every form of cutting of the female genital organ, which isn't a surgery, which isn't a medical condition, can be attributed to the FGM. So let's talk about the consequences on the victims. It's good to know that the exact origin of FGM still remains unclear. J. Lems 2017 attributes FGM to have a multi-source origin. However, some scholars believe that it originated from Egypt and that it was used on female slaves then. FGM, though widely practiced, has many consequences, the short and long-term consequences. Examples of the short-term consequences are hemorrhage, excessive bleeding after the surgery or the operation has been done, sometimes severe pain, sometimes shock. Sometimes the victims also have difficulty in passing urine. They have various infections like the HIV, etc., fistula, incontinence. A major reason for this infection is the fact that the instruments used for this operation or for this practice most times aren't properly aestheticized. And so in the course of using the same instrument for more than one patient or more than one victim, okay, they end up with various infections. Also, we have long-term consequences of the FGM. Sometimes the victims have pain when having sexual intercourse. Some of them fall into depression, and some of them end up having poor quality sexual life. Sometimes it leads to post-traumatic stress disorder. Sometimes it leads to urinary and menstrual problems. The FGM has consequences like the economic consequence, and the economic consequence is the financial aspect. The fact that it usually requires a counter surgery after the initial one has been done, thereby placing some sort of financial burden on the country. Okay, let's go to literature review now. A survey carried out by the Nigerian Association of Nurses and Midwives in the year 1985 posits that there is a decline in rate of FGM in large urban centers. Okay, so according to the survey, they found that 13 out of 21 states in Nigeria still practice this. And they said that the 3 major ethnic groups in Nigeria, the Hausa, the Igbo, and the Yoruba, were largely found wanting. That is, they still held on to this practice. And so you would ask me, if the 3 major tribes in Nigeria still practice this, then it's to say that despite all that has been done to combat this practice, people still engage in it. So there's a form of attachment that people culturally give to the FGM. Also, Alege MA also Alege MA also worked on this among, I think it was in Kwara State. She worked on this in Kwara State. And one of the things that her work found out is also the fact that people are culturally attached to this. And so they find it difficult to let go, despite all that has been done. At the end of her research, she was able to establish that FGM has generated and continues to generate lots of debates and controversies in both social, religious, and family circles. Okay, she established that there is a need for further strategies to combat the FGM. So the question now isn't whether work has been done to stop these acts. The question is, what can we do to stop it permanently? Her study concluded that media campaign against FGM have paid off, okay? And it recommends that sensitization programs like seminars be organized. A major recommendation from her work is that they should include traditional rulers, religious leaders, and opinion leaders to engage in stopping this practice. Now, health communication and behavioral change. A way to change behavior of people, especially to their health, is by communication campaign. So we cannot separate the media. Okay? We cannot separate communication campaign from changing the mindset and the behavior of people to their health. The World Health Organization defines health communication as a key strategy to inform the public about health concerns and to maintain important health issues on the 27th public agenda. Health communication is the purposeful process of attempting to contact people or groups with the appropriate material in order to elicit a behavioral change. According to ZAO 2020, most health communication campaigns that took place decades ago in the United States, such as the Back to Sleep campaign. So the Back to Sleep campaign is a major example of how the media can help combat a practice, no matter how much or how long it's been in circulation. So in 1994, through the media, they were able, so before that time, children were dying because they weren't properly led to bed to sleep. Okay, so with the use of the media and health communication, this practice stopped, and of course it reduced the mortality rate of children when they were born. Health communication can help change people's knowledge, attitude, actions by increasing their risk perception and reinforcing the good behaviors. Another way to ensure that we achieve what we want in combating the FGM, especially in Nigeria, is carrying out theory-based research. So without theory and theory-guided research, health communication campaign will remain largely trial and error. Okay, and the two major theories I proposed in this paper is the use of the social cognitive theory and the health belief model. And the reason being that these two theories believe that when you make the patient or when you make the major stakeholders see the consequence, the disadvantage in their action, it will instigate change. So it's not enough to just go preach, stop doing this. What will make the two theories believe that what will make or cause a change in the behavioral practice, health practice of people is exposing them to the consequences, especially when they see live victims of such consequences. Then we can instigate a behavioral change. Another way, or another major recommendation I have from this paper is evaluation of outcome in health communication campaign. So it's not enough to run campaigns or outreaches or community advocacy on FGM. It's after every campaign, there should be some sort of evaluation to know how we've moved the participants from where they have been to where they should be. Where they should be is what our aim is. So there is a need to evaluate and measure the outcome of our goals and objectives. Before launching out on the field, evaluation is frequently overlooked in health communication campaigns, leaving questions about whether all of the other investments in campaigns were really worthwhile. So this is a major one to really help. Other recommendations I have is that number one, the new media should be well used. So it's not news that the new media is the new normal, okay? And so there is a need to reinforce, because if we say that people no longer practice it, it's surprising to know that many people still do, though, you know, in rural areas. But when there is an increase in the use of new media and health communication campaign, when we maximize this platform to show people and to tell people, to remind people of the disadvantage, it will work in no small way to finally combat the practice. Also, the language of the people. Okolo KL 2015 recommends that we use the language of the people to speak. Like I said earlier on, this practice is done majorly in the rural areas, and we know that many of them will not speak English or do not speak English. So having to talk to them in their mother tongue will bring the message closer to them and will drive a positive feedback. The third one, identify the target audience and measuring the effectiveness. So a way to identify the target audience is, of course, to talk to people that are considered stakeholders of these traditions, and that would be the male. So FGM is done mainly on female, but to really cause a change, there is a need to talk to the men, the people that are considered in most Nigerian cultures the upholders of the tradition and the culture. So by the time we're able to get them on board to buy into the idea of stopping this practice, making them see that it has no positive impact, but negative impact on their children as their children age. Many children do not, a girl child will not get over this act. So by the time we have the right target audience, okay, and we're able to measure the effectiveness of this advocacy, we would make progress. Also, talking to religious leaders, because religious leaders are considered highly respectable in the society and in the Nigerian society and community. So having them as representatives of this vision, of this fight, will help drive positive impact, making use of volunteer groups, and lastly, having a dialogue with the influencers. So having a dialogue with them, making them see, and of course, making use of the theories, engaging the theories, evaluating what we've done. These and many more will help mitigate and combat the FGM in Nigerian society. Thank you very much for listening. I am Temitope Oyedemi. Bye.